Hi, it's Kristen, and it is the Summer Mix-Tape Readathon. So, this readathon was created by a bunch of wonderful creators who I follow on YouTube and Instagram. I will link them all below. There's Leanne, Victoria, Jean, who I'm familiar with, and then I believe also Charlotte, who I don't know, but I'm sure is wonderful. So this readathon is all about just enjoying summer while it lasts. We're in August, it's the final month. This readathon is actually 2 weeks long, but I'm joining halfway into it already. I had to finish reading a book for my book club and was very busy. But now I am free for the most part. Other than my regular work days next week, I'm free to read whatever I want. I've read all the books I've had to read for various things, and I'm excited to get into this. So there's prompts that are connected to summary songs that the hosts have picked. So I'll go through the prompts now. So first of all, we have Here Comes the Sun, read a book with nature on the cover. So for this, I'm going with Goodbye Perfect by Sarah Bernard. As you can see, there's a sunflower, on the front here. I picked this just because it had a flower on the cover, but also it's been on my TBR for a while, and it's YA contemporary, so I thought I could potentially get through it quite quickly. I don't really know what this is about. I think it's just about friends, and I think two best friends, and one of them unexpectedly sort of runs off with a guy, and so it's the friend who doesn't run off dealing with why her best friend has done something so unexpected, which sounds interesting, and living without her best friend when so much of her identity she tied into their friendship, I think. So yes, got that one. Then we have Blame It on the Weatherman, read an unseasonal read. I'm still a little bit undecided for this one, what I'm going to do, but I'm thinking some sort of thriller perhaps, because I personally connect thrillers to mostly to autumn, October kind of time. I didn't have anything on my shelf, so I think if I get round to that prompt, I might raid my parents' bookshelves. So that one's, a potential thriller, because again, I think I can read thrillers quite quickly. So next we've got Cake by the Ocean, read a book involving food or a spicy book. I couldn't find a book on my shelf that had food involved, so I've gone for a spicy book. So I've gone for The Roommate by Rosie Dannon. This is about a woman who's considered a good girl kind of thing, and she ends up living with or living next to a guy who is very I think quite sexually active, very pro pleasure, and I'm assuming they end up talking and he maybe helps her discover more of herself and her wants, but I've heard it's quite good sex scenes in here, so I'm excited to read this. Again, quite short, and romance tends to be a quick read for me. Next we're going to Ibiza, read a book set in another country. For this I have Wonderlove by Kirsten Hubbard. This will be a reread for me, but I've been wanting to reread it for years. It was a 5-star one. I read it when I was a teenager, and I think it would be fun to reread. This is about a girl called Bria who goes on a trip around Central America. She has it all planned out, but then it's not actually as fun as she thought it would be, and so she then sort of scraps all her plans and decides to just go with the flow and meet some people along the way. And I really enjoyed it, and I'm excited to get back to it. Next we have Mixtape, pick a book based on your favourite summer bop or a free read. But this one I thought I would go with This Song Will Save Your Life by Layla Sales, purely because it's a music related book. The main character in this is a DJ. This is also a reread for me. I remember really enjoying it when I read it again when I was a teenager, so it's been like potentially 10 years since I read this. Yeah, it's about a girl who struggles to like fit in, but she discovers DJing and she loves it. But then her DJing life, like going to clubs and sort of the DJing scene, causes some problems with the people she meets. She goes through a tough time. I can't really fully remember it, but I remember enjoying it. And then we have some free prompts. So we've got in the summertime, read in a sunny spot and share your setup. Potentially tomorrow I'm going to the beach with my friends, so I'll take one of the books with me and read there. We have the sea, take some self-care time. I'm sure I can manage that. Summer of 69, share a picture of a summer throwback or memory or your ideal dream summertime. I'll have a little think about that. And summer nights, what's your favourite film set in summer or a warm place? Again, I'm sure I can manage that. I will also link my Instagram down below, my bookish Instagram, where I'll share some pictures I take throughout the week of these prompts and the books I read. But yes, these are all my summary reads. I feel like they all have quite bright summer vibes. Maybe not as much this one, but I think they can all be quick reads. And then these are the ones I'm going to try and get to first, and then if I still have time, which I doubt it because 4 books in a week will still be a push for me. If I have time after I've read those, I will find some sort of thriller from my parents' bookshelves and do the unseasonal read prompt. But I will update you throughout the week as I go on. So this readathon was from the 1st to the 14th of August. It's currently the 5th of August. So hopefully, I mean, it's very casual. I don't need to like catch up, but I sort of feel like I need to. But I will update you. I'm excited to read summery things, and we'll see how I get on. Yesterday I went to the beach with a couple of friends. Had a really lovely time. We dipped our feet in the sea. We had chip shop food on the beach. It was just a really lovely day. Nice to just get away and relax in like a different environment. But while I was there, I started reading Wonderlove, and I got about halfway through, which I'm really pleased with. So there are parts of this that I remember really vividly and other parts that I sort of forgot about. I forgot that the whole reason she goes travelling, our main character Bria, is to like prove to people that she can, and there's a whole like backstory with a ex-boyfriend who she had a really toxic relationship with, and he didn't treat her very well, and I think that's handled really interestingly, because she remembers like the good parts of their relationships and the bad parts, and is sort of like thinking about why she interpreted different things that happened in a way that she potentially shouldn't have. Like there's a few things he says that we as like outside readers can see is like really patronising and condescending and insulting to Bria, but she at the time considered it like a compliment because of the way he'd phrased it. So I think that's really interesting, and I like that that's explored in a book for teens. I think it's important to show that like it's not just adults who can have like emotionally toxic relationships, and that like when you're younger you are not maybe more naive or anything like that, but yeah, maybe not as aware of it potentially. So I'm liking that aspect. There are some bits that I think maybe I didn't pick up on when I was younger that now as an adult I'm reading is not like massively problematic, but in the way that the main character talks about some of the places she's visiting could be a little bit questionable. I feel like I need to look up some reviews from people, if I can find them, from the countries that she's visiting. So she's traveling mostly Central America, and now she and Rowan have just gone to Caribbean and some Caribbean islands. So I'd like to read some reviews from people who are from those countries or have those nationalities to see what they think. Just from the way things are described, I don't know if it's just me not being well travelled and those places are like that, but there's I think she's very like a white girl travelling, which at some point she like is very aware of some of the things she's saying. She should like rethink her mentality, but other things aren't contradicted or stuff like that. I can't really, because I'm not expressing myself well, but I did like reading this on the beach yesterday because there's a lot of description of like how hot it is, and her being on a beach or by like a body of water, by like the sea or lakes and stuff like that. And so reading it on the beach felt very in keeping with like the setting of the book, and just I think kept me in the story a bit more as well. I have been reading it today. I read some early this morning and I've just dove back into it. I'd like to finish this today. I'm going to a friend's this evening, so I'd like to finish it before then because I don't really want to take a book that's only got a couple of chapters left with me when I could just take a whole new book, because I'm staying at her house. But she tends to wake up quite late in the morning, whereas I wake up quite early. So I want to take a book with me to read if I'm awake way before she is. But I don't want to have to take a book if I've only got a couple of chapters left. I'd rather just take a whole new book. So we'll see. I will update you later. I'm really enjoying it. When I first read it, it was a 5-star. It's not a 5-star anymore for me, but I'm still enjoying it. Oh, I've just been for a walk. I'm quite pink in the face. Yesterday I finished reading Wonderlove. I enjoyed it. I thought the ending was quite quick, like it wrapped up quicker than I remember. But I thought it was enjoyable. I liked and sort of forgot that this was an element. I'm going to sit myself down. I don't know what I'm doing standing up. That there's pictures throughout. I'm just trying to find some now. Because Bria, our main character, is an artist. So throughout you see little drawings that she does as she like rediscovers her passion for art, which I really liked. So yes, finished that yesterday, and then went to a friend's and stayed at hers, had a fun evening, and then this morning I started another book because I woke up before she did. So I started Goodbye Perfect. This one I didn't really know anything about, but I've liked a previous Sarah Bernard book, and this came in like a set. So this one, so far, we have our main character Eden, and her best friend has run away with a secret boyfriend that she had. And I'm only about 30 pages in, but we've had a reveal of who exactly that secret boyfriend is, and it's a big deal, because these girls are like 15, 16 years old. So running away is obviously a huge deal. And so we've just got worried parents at the moment, who are getting the police involved, because obviously their daughter's run away and is missing, and it's not a good situation. But our main character is following like best friend rules of you don't like dob in your best friend and you keep their secrets, and it's just making me so nervous thinking like, oh my god, this teenage girl just needs to tell the truth to the adults in this situation. And I'm only 30 pages in, and already I'm anxious about this situation. So yes, but I think this is quite good because obviously I'm using this for the nature prompt, nature on the cover. We've got this flower, which I thought was a sunflower, but judging by something that's been said in the book, I'm thinking maybe it's a dandelion, because our main character's talked about getting like a dandelion tattoo or something. But our main character is really into flowers and plants and like growing things, which is nice that it's not just a flower on the cover to be a pretty cover, but also ties into the pot, which makes me glad I picked this for my nature prompt. I will update you when I am further through. So yesterday I got halfway through Goodbye Perfect, and I'm continuing today. It's really lovely weather today. I just went for lunch with my family, which was really nice, to a local pub. But I'm continuing on with this now. It's so far all about like friendship and secrets and the expectations that you have of people and that they have on themselves. Yeah, our main character like thinks about her best friend being a certain way, and then is reflecting on things she said with the hindsight of her running away, and it makes her look at certain conversations differently, and how maybe she missed some stuff, but also how it's not her fault, and stuff like that. It's just making me very anxious for everything to get sorted and like wrapped up, and the trouble to dissipate. But I feel like we're amping up to a big blow up of the situation, which I'm nervous for. But I'm hoping to finish this today because I'm working all day tomorrow, so I won't have time to read. So I'm hoping to finish this today, and I can work tomorrow, and then on Thursday I can start a new book. But yeah, enjoying it so far. I just finished reading Goodbye Perfect. I'm currently on the readathon sprint, joining in. There's 6 minutes left, but I've just finished my book. So I thought I'd do a quick little update while those 6 minutes happen. I liked this. It got very intense towards the end. I'm just gonna spoil the sort of relationship that this is centered around, which you find out quite quickly into the book. But if you really don't want spoilers, maybe like scroll along your thing and find it until the end of this clip and move on from there. But our main character Eden's best friend Bonnie has run away, and Bonnie has run away with her secret boyfriend, who we find out fairly early on is actually her teacher. So this story deals with like an outsider's perspective on their relationship, because we see everything from Eden's perspective and how she wants to protect Bonnie and feels like a loyalty to Bonnie to keep certain secrets and do things that she thinks is helping Bonnie, that obviously we know is actually harmful in the grander scheme of things. So I did spend a lot of it just wanting Eden to talk to her parents and Bonnie's parents and the police. But I think it was written quite convincingly from like a teenage point of view, that maybe she wouldn't understand that, because like throughout she's aware that, you know, a relationship with a teacher is weird, but at the same time she's like, it's my best friend and my best friend's sensible and she must know what she's doing and I don't want to like upset her and stuff. But the ending, which I've just read in this set of sprints, is sort of everything coming to a head, and obviously the wrapping up of the story, which meant that secrets were revealed, things got exposed, people found out about certain things, and yeah, it was quite emotionally draining as a story, because obviously so much of it is built on their like really intense friendship and their perceptions of each other. So when everything comes to a head, there's like a lot of arguments and trying to convince various different like each other and other characters of like their points of view. But yeah, it was a very intense and I think important story of grooming, and really going against the, you know, romanticization of student-teacher relationships, because especially in this, Bonnie isn't even 16 yet, which would still be, you know, inappropriate, completely inappropriate, but to the point where she's not even of legal age in the UK. And yeah, so they talk about age gaps, they talk about how that's not even necessarily a factor, it's also about like the power dynamics and power imbalance between student and teacher. Yeah, I was just reading a couple of Goodreads reviews to see what other people have said, and I thought there was a really interesting one talking about how often in media, when we see student-teacher relationships depicted, it's often somewhat at least romanticized, partly, even if like the whole outcome is it's bad, because we see it from the perspective of, you know, sometimes the teacher, most times the student that it's happening to, but with this it's from the perspective of the best friend, so she's just like flabbergasted what a word to use, that this is like even a thing, and how it doesn't mesh with her perception of her friend, and how it doesn't mesh with her perception of her teacher, because to her he's just like an old guy, he's 29, but to her he's old and he's her teacher, but to her friend she sees it differently. And I thought the conversations were really well done, and yeah, I felt like some YA I read written by adults I read and I think you're an adult trying to sound like a teenager, but I thought that this was quite convincingly teenage. Yeah, so that is my my thoughts for now. I'm seeing that the sprints are just ending out of the corner of my eye, so I will, yeah, get back to watching the sprints. If they do another sprint, I guess I'm gonna have to just immediately start another book, which is not normally like me. But hey, maybe I will. I'll update you probably tomorrow, if not Thursday. Hello, it is Thursday the 11th of August. I took yesterday off from reading, not voluntarily. I had to work all day. It was like a 13-hour day. So I didn't read anything. Wasn't expecting to read anything. Just busy. And then today I didn't read this morning. I just sort of chilled with my mum and we watched sort of bad daytime telly. Then had lunch and then went to my room, chilled a bit more, and then I started reading This Song Will Save Your Life by Leela Sales. This is one I've read before, I think I mentioned, but not in a long time. So sort of reminding myself of the plot. I remember enjoying it a lot when I first read it, but I could not tell you much about the plot. Already I'm only 40 pages in. I have encountered things that I completely forgot were part of the book. So trigger warning, because almost immediately within the book there's talk of suicide and our main character Elise self-harms. So major trigger warnings for those. I forgot that was a thing. So I feel like it's going to be a tougher read than I remember. But I think I can read it quite quickly. I'd like to have it finished by potentially like Saturday morning, because then I think I could squeeze in one more book Saturday afternoon, Sunday. So hopefully if I can read this quickly, I can read some more this evening, read some tomorrow evening when I get home from work, and then yeah, maybe finish it Saturday morning. That is my goal. Yes, and I can't remember what prompt this is going to fulfill for the readathon, but I'll post like a bingo board at the end of this, I think, to show like all the books I've read and what prompts they fulfilled, and I'll talk about that in the wrap up. But I will update you when I'm further into this and let you know my thoughts. It is Saturday. It is so hot. The lighting in my room is terrible right now because I've hung my dressing gown in front of my window to give me some shade because I don't have curtains or blinds in my bedroom currently. So yes, I am so sweaty. I am halfway through This Song Will Save Your Life. It's just again making me worried for this teenage girl, because as an adult I'm finding it just worrying. Our main character Elise has discovered this sort of secret-ish nightclub, and she's befriended some girls and the DJ, and she's been introduced to DJing and stuff. She's always loved music, but now she's getting into DJing and finding that she actually has a real talent for it, which is cool. There's a lot of discussion of DJing and music and how to DJ and stuff. So if you like that kind of thing, this may be of interest to you. But yeah, she goes out walking alone at night and then goes to this club, and she's only 16, and it just concerns me. And the DJ that she's met at the club, that she's beginning to have a romantic connection with, is 19, nearly 20 years old, which is just, no, date someone your own age. That man has no business being anywhere near her. He knows that she's 16. And I'm pretty sure, if I recall correctly, like, it discusses that it's not like romanticized, or she learns from the situation and comes to terms with the fact that it's not healthy and stuff, if I remember correctly. So we'll see if I do remember correctly. I will update you when I'm further through. I'd quite like to finish this today. I meant to finish it this morning, but then I didn't really read yesterday. I got home from work and had my dinner, and it was just so hot, and then I had a video chat with a friend, and I had to fill out some stuff for a potential job coming up, which was quite exciting. So yeah, I will update you when I have another update. We still have terrible lighting because I'm still shaded in my bedroom, but it's the next day. Last night I finished This Song Will Save Your Life. It's not quite how I remember it. I said I remembered something happening, but that's not quite what happened. Concerning like the love interest, she realizes that like he's a bit of a dick, and I feel like we can see that a lot earlier than she does, because she's young and she's like really into this guy who's paying her attention. Like, that's what she wants, is for people to like her and pay attention to her. But we can see that he's like kind of manipulative, in that he makes her think that she really needs him, and when she does something well on her own, he's not supportive like she thinks that he will be. So yeah, but they don't really discuss his age being an issue, which annoys me. I feel like someone out of the cast of characters should be like, yeah, what's that about? I feel like we as readers can be aware that like, yeah, what is this 19, 20-year-old doing, wanting to hang out with this 16-year-old? Like, that's straight away from the offset the thing that makes us like question his actual motives and how much of a good guy he actually is, and that actually he's a bit of a mess himself, because that's just generally quite pathetic. But it's never like blatantly called out by any of the characters, which generally I wouldn't say things need to be like in text called out, when I feel like they're insinuated to the reader at least. But I would have liked, considering that this is a young adult book, I would have liked that to be a bit more explicitly said to the character herself. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I don't think I enjoyed it as much as I did upon first reading it, which is to be expected. Again, I read this originally when I was a teenager. It's written for teens. I am now in my late 20s. It's not for me. but I did like all the talk about music, and I did like the discussions about like identity and how you perceive others and they perceive you, and how those can be like wildly different things, and you shouldn't like change yourself to be seen a certain way. You should find like a happy medium of living authentically and living the way that you want to live, and how that's like subjective for different people. Yeah, there was also a lot about family, and I liked the discussions about family and friends and caring about each other, and you don't always know what's going on in other people's lives and you shouldn't make presumptions. Yeah. So yes, I would say if you like slightly more hard-hitting contemporary YA, and you like YA that focuses on like music and art and stuff, this one would be a good one to read. Yeah, again, just reiterate trigger warnings for like depression, suicidal thoughts, self-harm, and like an inappropriate relationship. But yes, finished this last night, and today, the last day, I'm not going to have time to finish a whole book, but I thought I would at least start one. I'm going to start The Roommate by Rosie Danan, because I'm in the mood for an adult romance. I will either update you later today when I'm further into it, or update you tomorrow when I do my weekly wrap up, and hopefully it's not so hot. Hello. Slightly different location to usual. I'm in my spare room. Just because everywhere in the house is so hot. But there's not as much like furniture and stuff in here, so it doesn't feel quite as overwhelming. So I'm going to do my wrap up from here. Right, let's start. I only joined in with the readathon once we were already about 5 days into it, because I had a really busy week. So I only started reading last Saturday, the first Saturday of the readathon. But considering I only did the readathon for a full week and one day, Saturday and then Sunday, I'm really happy with what I got read. That's not good grammar. But yeah, I'm really happy with what I read, because I've been in and out of reading slumps lately, where I've been reading loads and then over like a 2-3 week period, and then not reading for like 2 or 3 weeks, or just weeks at a time without reading. So I read 3 books within a week, and then I started another book on the Sunday but didn't finish it. So first of all, I read Wonderlove. I started this on the Saturday, the first day I did the readathon, and this was for my prompt of a book set in a different country. This is about a girl who travels Central America. It was really fun to read on the beach. There is still sand in my book. Yeah, it was just a really fun experience reading it on the beach, reading about the heat and the sea and stuff like that while I was hot and by the sea. Enjoyed this one and completed the prompt of book set in another country, and also reading in a sunny spot. I read obviously on the beach, so did that prompt as well. Then I finished that in 2 days, and then I read Goodbye Perfect. This one was slightly more hard-hitting than I had thought. I thought it was just going to be about friendship and the trials and tribulations of friendship, which it was, but the plot causing the friendship complications was more intense than I thought it would be. Our main character's best friend runs off with her teacher, which was, yeah, intense. So this was for the prompt of nature on the cover. We have a flower. Yeah, I read this in 2 days as well. I started it on the Monday morning, which I would also count as my self-care prompt, because I went and had like an old school nostalgic sleepover with one of my best friends, but then I always wake up earlier than she does, so I made sure I brought a book with me, which I started and read for about an hour before she woke up. So nature on the cover and self-care. Then for the sort of free choice, pick your favourite song prompt, I read This Song Will Save Your Life. Sort of free choice. It's not related to a song I love, but the whole book is like music based, so I thought it was quite a good pick. Again, this was a reread, much like Wonder Love was a reread. Didn't love it as much as the first time I read it. Another book with a questionable age gap, although nowhere near as bad as this one. This, again, more hard-hitting than I remembered it being. We have a main character who's dealing with, like, it's never said depression, but it's obviously depression because she's has a lot of unhealthy thinking about herself and how people view her, and she self-harms and is suicidal or has suicidal thoughts at the beginning of the book. But then this is about her discovering DJing and embarking on like a completely different lifestyle to her everyday life, where she's unpopular and not really liked, but then she's this super cool DJ by night. Yeah, enjoyed it, didn't love it. And then on the Sunday, I started reading The Roommate, which is an adult romance. These are all YA, which I think is why I read them quite quickly. Again, I can read adult romance quite quickly, but it's kind of a nice, even though it's still contemporary, it's kind of nice to have that adult to balance out all the YA I've been reading. This is about Clara, main character, who is sort of a good girl, plays by the rules, has lots of her own rules, but she does something quite impulsive and decides to like move across the country with her childhood best friend, who she is secretly in love with. But when she gets there, this is all like within the first chapter, so it's not really spoilers. When she first gets there, he neglected to tell her that he and his band had been booked for a tour, and so he is leaving and he has rented out his room in the meantime to this dude he found on the internet. So then her whole plans are like thrown out of whack. She's living with a stranger who she then finds out is an adult performer. So he makes porn, which kind of throws her. But then he sort of decides to teach her a few things, help her learn about her body. And that's where I'm at with it. I read 101 pages yesterday, which is pretty good. That's a third of the way through. I'm happy with that. Felt like a decent ending to the readathon, even though I didn't like finish a book on the last day of the readathon. I started one, which I'm fairly enjoying. Yeah, when I was about 60 pages in, we'd already had a slightly steamy scene, and I'm expecting several more. So yes, I read 3 1/3 things, which in a week and one day I'm really happy with, actually. 2 of these are rereads, which are quite good because I'm sort of got a reread project going on where I'm rereading old books that I read when I was a teenager to see if I still want them, because there's some books that I know I'm definitely going to keep, and there's some that I remember loving, but I'm thinking if I reread them, will I still love them, or do I think I can get rid of them? Or there's some that I read when I was younger and I thought were just okay, but now that I'm older, would I appreciate them more? That kind of thing. So I'm glad that I've reread 2 books and got 1 book off my TBR that I hadn't read before, Goodbye Perfect, and I started another book that was on my TBR that I've not read before. Overall, a success. This was for the prompt of a spicy book. I feel like you gathered that. So yeah, I completed, I think, 4 prompts. Oh, I also on my Instagram shared a summer throwback picture, which was one of the prompts. So yeah, I completed quite a few of the prompts. I'll put the bingo board of all the prompts and the ones I've completed for you to see now. So that is it for the Summer Mix-Tape Readathon. Last night I already saw an announcement that there will be an autumn mixtape readathon, so I'm excited for that. It's been so hot lately that I'm sort of just ready for cooler weather, autumn colours, being warm because I'm in a cozy jumper and not because I'm just sweating. So yes, thank you for watching. I had fun this week. I hope you enjoyed the vlog, and I will see you soon with another video. Bye!